Alone with Apollo. During the trial yesterday, I was overcome by a fit of coughing. I guess we're gonna have to press every piece of information. Do you always cough when you get nervous, Miss Woods? Mr. Woods. Yes. Uh-oh. Mr. Wright, please don't make Miss Woods nervous by pressing her so ruthlessly. What the? I'm doing my job, though. But that barely even qualified as a quasi-question. Let's help her relax with a little small talk before we dive into the cross-examination. You know, ask her about her hobbies and her crushes and stuff. Crushes? I guess I know the answer to that. Her crushes? Really? I don't know about this. Well, there's your answer. Crushes? There it is. Apollo stayed with me and we went to the courtroom ruins together. Why exactly did you go to the courtroom ruins? We went to look for my medicine to stop my coughing. What? You... Like, do you actually have asthma? Your medicine? Why would your medicine be in courtroom number 4? I mean, that's obvious, but that's not the point. You can actually just... buy another one. I dropped it in the heat of the moment. Bumrap Riney. He was keeping my medicine safe for me. Ah. That might be an interesting piece of information. He has a little compartment that I can put things in, you see. Up his ass? And Phony Fanty has the same type of pocket. That's where the bomb was inserted. Uh-oh. I had put my medicine for my coughing fits inside Bumrap Riney. When I told Apollo about it, he said he'd help me go look for him. For him? For it, you mean? There was so much rubble in there. I was worried, but... there was no rubble or anything in front of the witness stand. So when we got inside, Apollo went straight there. And started looking for my Riney in that area. It was so nice of him to do that for me, in spite of all his injuries. Apollo is so strong and kind, just like the trees of the forest. Okay. The way she makes him sound, you'd think Apollo was some kind of ancient god. She's just horny. Oh, wait! So that's why you went to the ruins, I see. That seems to be quite an important fact. Please add it to your testimony, Miss Woods. This is gonna be the new testimony, I believe. Apollo started looking for Bumrap Riney near the witness stand, where there was no rubble. No rubble. Is she talking here? Inside here? Is this a piece of rock? I think that's a piece of rock. It's either it's gonna be the stand or a piece of rock, but I don't know. I think that's this is the contradiction here. But I'm gonna be pressing the rest of her statements to see what kind of information that we might actually get. The area around the witness stand. Are you sure about that? I'm so sorry. Did I say something wrong? No, of course not. I was just testing my hearing. Testing your hearing? Must not upset her. Must not upset her. Yes, I'm sure that's where we searched first. But then I was called back to this courtroom to give testimony. That was when you were called to the stand after Mr. Tenate's testimony, right? Yes. The bailiff came to the to courtroom number 4 and brought me back to this courtroom. And what about Mr. Justice? Did he come with you, or did he stay behind? Apollo insisted on staying behind in courtroom number 4. I'd better not ask her about Apollo. Why's that? So we don't make her upset or something? Just ask her. I know. I'll use some small talk here to get her to relax a bit. Do you have any hobbies, Miss Woods? Isn't that gonna be some sort of an objection? Like, is the prosecution gonna object to that? Hobbies? Well, I love growing vegetables in my garden. Just vegetables? What about fruit? You grew a goddamn, I don't know, tangerine! Or an orange. And I love to knit. I like sewing too. I made this outfit myself. Damn. That's impressive. Even that? Keep it up, Mr. Wright. It's working. Something strange about, Widget, though. Now ask her if she has a crush on anyone. Uh-oh. No, don't! No! So, is there anyone in particular you like right now? Uh-oh. Mr. Wright, is that question even remotely related to this case? None of these. To this case? Not really? Mr. Wright, you will refrain from asking questions unrelated to the case at hand. Sorry, Your Honor. -1 to brownie points. What the hell does that even mean? Brownie points? Miss Woods, please continue with your testimony. I believe you were telling the court about your attack on Mr. Justice. Oh, she looks sick. Are we gonna use, I don't know, Widget? I swear I didn't attack Apollo. Why would I, ever hurt such a kind person? So you think Mr. Justice is kind? Yes, very kind. He rescued me. He's like the sun, strong and warm. He makes me feel strong too. I'm not gonna. I'm gonna keep that joke to myself. The only adjective I associate with the sun are sweltering and oppressive. Huh? I don't think a lot of people people always give like the sun that the source of life or whatnot. Sweltering. But then Apollo got hurt and cough cough. It's all my fault. Junie, Apollo's going to be fine. He's just like the sun, right? Well, the sun doesn't just drop out of the sky. I mean, the sun is a star, and stars are gonna die, you know, gonna die in due time. You really think he'll be fine? Heh, but the sun does go down at night. What does that... What kind of example is this? Then that means Apollo could... Mr. Payne, I do not think much of men who make young ladies cry. Good. So Apollo was trying to help Juniper. Who knew that Apollo could be such a sweetheart? I think her mood changes the background for the screen as well. That's actually kind of a cool touch. Kind of strange too. It must have been pretty hard on him too, with all that rubble everywhere. All that rubble everywhere. Yeah, that's the game's way of giving you hints, I guess. It is weird that we actually haven't witnessed the consult mechanic still. Now that I think about it, there's something odd about what Apollo was able to do. You know, considering what Miss Woods said just now, I think you're right. That courtroom was in a very unusual state, after all. Which leaves the million-dollar question. What would explain this contradiction? Anyway, let's see what happens when I present what I suspect is our answer. Yeah. So, I guess that's clear enough. Let's go ahead and present... Yeah, this is the contradiction over here. Showcased over here. Oh, I need to use the present command. Objection! So he started his search with the witness stand, you say? That's right. I guess maybe he wanted to start from the furthest point in the room. He was being so brave and strong. Why is she coughing? Her coughing means that she actually is hiding something. Juniper? Are you a good guy or a bad guy? But that's odd. Under the circumstances, he shouldn't have been capable of that. But he was, and he still is. He might not look it, but he is, but he really is brave. And kind too. No, that's not the part I'm finding fault with. Someone has a crush on Apollo. Damn, punished Apollo, huh? All you need to do is just have a scar, and that's it? And be a lawyer. Of course you're gonna have a lot of ladies when you're a goddamn lawyer. God damn. What you're claiming is something that no one should have been able to do. But I should think that anyone can be brave and kind if they wanted to be, Mr. Wright. True, anyone can be brave and kind, but if you would please take a look at this diagram. With the courtroom in this state, how was it possible to walk up to the witness stand? So that was a rubble? That was a piece of rubble? Oh. I see your point. The rubble blocks off access to the area around the witness stand. Huh. Does such a tiny inconsistency even matter? Perhaps the witness is simply misremembering it. Great. Now, I'm not sure, I'm not sure, it matters. I'm not so sure it matters. What do you mean you're not so sure it matters? It does matter. A real man doesn't make mountains out of molehills, you know. What does that even mean? But that's precisely what Mr. Wright does best. I call slander, Your Honor. So, was it really impossible to approach the witness stand? Huh. Was it impossible? I have to say, it's a bit hard to tell with any accuracy from just this diagram. Mr. Payne, do you have any other photos of the crime scene? Let me see, Your Honor. Yes. I have one more. Oh. We have the goddamn... It was blocked by the goddamn... storage. Bomb storage. Here it is. It's a more pulled back version of the photo I presented before. Now we have two photos. It got updated. Apollo's assault photo updated in the court record. Apollo is shown collapsed on the floor. The bloody writing is also visible. Huh? What's that hunk of metal on wheels? Mr. Payne, is the metallic object in that photo Mr. Tenate's bomb transport case? That's right. Is there some problem? How the hell did it actually survive the explosion? Ah, yes. That transport case was there in courtroom number 4 when the bomb went off. It must have been there ever since. Oh, that's it. Miss Woods, have you remembered something? Is she gonna say that the case wasn't there? Yes, I just realized. Its position. It's different from before. Its position? The position of what? The position of that big metal thing. The bomb transport case? Yes. When Apollo and I went there, it was in a different place. Really? One F. Oh, there's a piece missing here. 100. Ah, that's the... He actually added the D. And this was the R over there. How can you create a W, though, from the L? How the hell can you create the W, though? It's still, I don't know. I don't know. It is a little bit weird here. Where the case in the photo was open, where the case is in the photo was open space, so it's easy to search the stand. I see, so... Where was the transport case when you and Mr. Justice saw it? As I recall, I think it was more to the right. To the right? Then that means... In that case, the case was over there at the time of Apollo's attack? Where exactly to the right? Who cares where the transport case was when? What difference does that? What difference does it make? It has nothing to do at all to do. Where the transport case was has everything to do with this discussion. In fact, it's so important that it's enough to turn the prosecution's argument on its ear. What? Well, that certainly sounds very relevant indeed. And you sound as though you know where the case was at the time of the attack. Was it actually at the same place where it was? Was it actually here? Yes, Your Honor. This diagram represents the crime scene as shown in the photo. And this is where the transport case was at the time of the assault on Mr. Justice. Do I actually need to pinpoint where it was? I'm gonna point it over here. I think this is where it was, right? Oh, this is the L, I guess. That's the L. That's the L, and that's the 1. Okay. So the exact position was there, I believe. Alright, I have this. The bomb transport case was here at the time of Apollo's attack. It's going to be here. Your Honor, I assert that this is where the transport case was at the time of the assault. There? I'm afraid I failed to follow your logic. Wait, what? That was wrong? Boss, I don't think anyone could follow that logic. Not even with a tracking device. Shut up! Yeah, I'm pretty sure my logic just made a clean getaway, even for me. Even from me. Ah, no! Perhaps a penalty will help you rethink your position. I'd better take another good look at the evidence. I think there was a clue in there about where the transport case was. In the photo? It definitely was here, right? Because, was it because there was no destruction? Or because, the tracks! This is the track, okay. I did point it right, though. Now then, let's try this again, shall we? Alright, let's, is it gonna be here? It's definitely gonna be here. Or is it actually gonna be all the way to the right? I'm gonna point it here. Take that. But that's... Huh? Inconceivable! Miss Woods, was this where the transport case was when you saw it? Why would I be the one that actually should point that where the case was? Shouldn't she be the one to do that? That doesn't make any sense. Yes. Yes, that's where it was. Thank you, Miss Woods. Thank you for nothing. I'm sure the court has noted an interesting fact about this position. The transport case covers up the writing in blood. Exactly. If the transport case was in that position at the time of the assault, then no message could have been written there because the case was in the way. Which leads us to conclude that Mr. Justice couldn't have left that bloody writing. Why should we believe that the defendants claim that the case was in a different position? I mean, because of the tracks. She's obviously lying. It's because of the tracks. I don't know if you guys noticed that. I'm gonna showcase it again. You can actually see the tracks over here. That the case was indeed moved, and you know it was there as well. She's obviously lying. Objection! The fact that the case was moved after the assault on Mr. Justice is proved by more than Miss Wood's testimony alone. What? And where is this proof you're talking about? It's right here in the crime photo. I'm keen to see this proof myself, Mr. Wright. Now they're gonna want me to point that out? Where exactly do I need to point? What in this photo indicates that the transport case was moved after the assault? I mean, where do I need to point? That's the problem. I need to point at the tracks, right? If I point here, is it gonna be... Ah, over here. It was moved because, yeah, the tracks is actually on the bandage. All right. Please take a look at the mark that runs over Mr. Justice's bandages here. I see it, but what is it? This mark was made by one of the casters from the transport case carrying the bomb. As the case was moved, it ran over his bandages. In other words, the transport case was originally to the right of Mr. Justice. Then after Mr. Justice was assaulted, the case was moved. The transport case was moved. To pay! Just as Miss Wood said, the case was covering the writing at the time of the assault. Therefore, it was impossible for Mr. Justice to have left that message in blood. Actually, that means that this is not Apollo's blood. It's probably gonna be Arm's blood. No! You did it, boss. It was a real nail biter, but you pulled it off. The nail? Yep. That should bring down the prosecution's claim like a house of cards. Order! Order in the court! Mr. Wright, that was a really clever deduction, if you say so. Oh, it was nothing, Your Honor. Nothing but pure genius! Take that! Boss, I'm sensing a definite smug and a braggy vibe coming off of you. Hey, shut up, Athena. Ugh. What, is he gonna hurl? I have just one question, Mr. Wright. Please don't ruin the fun. Judge, please don't ruin the fun. Yes, Your Honor. If Mr. Justice didn't leave this message in blood... wait. What? Did we actually conclude that, he didn't, like someone else, Apollo didn't actually write that? Was moved, just was said, covering writing and time was so. Therefore, it was impossible for Mr. Justice to have left the message in blood. Well, yeah, I guess, but really, it's not about he didn't leave the that message. It's not about he didn't leave that message in blood. He didn't leave that message at that time where he was struck. That's it, pretty much. But if Mr. Justice didn't leave this message in blood, then who did? Huh? What? Oh. Well, I guess that was convenient for Pain. Looks like I should have taken that train of thought through to the last station. That wasn't good writing, but whatever. that was trying too hard. Well, I've heard a lot about this. So this is Mr. Wright's famous bluffing technique, is it? Famous? Ah, this feeling. It brings back memories of the old days. Back when you carved out a name for yourself by bluffing your way through thick and thin. Gee, Mr. Wright, the judge kind of makes you sound no better than a 2-bit con man. What's a 2-bit con man? I mean, I know what's a con man, but what is a 2-bit con man? You made your argument with such confidence, Mr. Wright. Now I'd like to hear your answer with just as much confidence. Hey, until the judge asked the question, you didn't catch on either, Buster. What now, boss? I hope you didn't bluff your way into a corner. I mean, I don't think so. The only person it's possible to have wrote that is pretty much Arm. Candace Arm. Think, Phoenix, think! There must be a way through this. I have to dig my way to the truth somehow. Who would have written that message in blood? Someone else, of course. The culprit? Nope. Apollo? Definitely not him. And someone else. We're not gonna be we're not gonna get penalized, by the way, viewers, for saying their wrong for giving the wrong answer. So might as well have fun. The culprit. If Apollo didn't leave that bloody writing, maybe it was Apollo's attacker who wrote it and made it look like Apollo did it. That doesn't make any sense. I only picked that to get something funny. God damn it, Athena. No, amuse me. That seems like the most reasonable explanation. No, it's not. But wait a minute. I just realized something, boss. What is it? Look at the amount of blood in the photo. It doesn't look like Apollo bled very much. I wonder if it's even possible to write out woods with just this much. Hey, you're right. I don't think that's the thing. It's not about having a lot of blood here. It's about you know, If we already now eliminated Apollo as the one that that wrote that this is only gonna give us you know, the option of Candace. Candace is the one that actually wrote that. It's not possible for the culprit to do that. Like, what's the point? Good thing Apollo didn't lose that much blood. That might be a factor in why he survived the assault. And since there was so little blood, that pretty much rules out his attacker, huh? I guess so. Are they trying to give like a reason to why this isn't the culprit? I don't think having blood or not have anything to do with it, though. Having a lot of blood have anything to do with it. Like, we don't. Let's just assume. Like, and I'm assuming here, viewers. Let's just assume that the culprit actually got injured while trying to, you know, to fight. While trying to fight Apollo for some reason. He might actually bled and wrote that with his own blood. But that's stupid. That's even stupid. The whole thing is stupid, by the way. They could pretty much, swipe the blood for DNA, and we can actually find the identity of that person. And that's it. I guess so, but if it wasn't his attacker, then who else could it have been? Could have written that message in blood. It's not Apollo. I'm having fun. The person who wrote the bloody message was none other than Mr. Justice. Pardon me? What? Huh? Mr. Wright, didn't you just finish saying that it couldn't have been Apollo? I know, I'm just having fun. Don't try to blame it on old age. Well, I am old. How old is Phoenix, by the way? We don't have any info about him? Is he gonna be older than me or not? I don't think he's older than me. I'm older than Justice. He's getting, he's still young, can get all the honeys. God damn. Oh yeah, I did just say that, didn't I? Not only does your head resemble a bird, what? But it simply, it seems that you have a bird brain as well. Because, you know, birds don't have a good memory, is that it? Mr. Wright, please try to think before you speak. I'd give her that another. I'd better give that another try. And that's it. I thought it was gonna be funny. But yeah. Oh, they're gonna penalize us here. I mean, I would have loved to actually have fun with this one, but I guess we can't. Could have blamed Athena, but it is obvious that it's gonna be Candace Arm. To be honest, I don't actually have any real proof of this. Yeah, but that's the only conclusion. It's a process of elimination. But I've come this far. There's no turning back now. Besides Apollo, there was one more person who shed blood at this crime scene. Yeah, they're revolving around that there was blood in the scene. Whose blood is it? That's this is the conclusion that you should take, but it still doesn't make any sense. It could have been the blood of the culprit if he bled. I don't think he bled or anything, but if he bled, it's stupid. Like they could definitely take that blood, and they can identify the blood of who the blood that have been used, and they're gonna get it back to Candace, and I'm sure it's Candace. Did I pick that by mistake? Besides Apollo, there was one more person who shed blood at this crime scene. A person who shed blood? You don't mean... Oh, but I do. I believe it was Candace Arm who left behind this message in blood. What? What? Detective Arm? I mean, if they're gonna take some blood, for, you know, try to analyze the blood, it's gonna be a mix between Apollo's and Candace, pretty much. Because he did... We already know who did this crime, viewers. It's pretty much detonate. And they make this pretty obvious, but they make this pretty obvious. So there's really no. It's all. I think since this is the first case, they're gonna teach you, hey, you know who this guy is. You have to connect the dots, and now we actually know that Woods doesn't actually mean Woods. It actually relates to the number of the case, and this is the tip here, or supposedly the tip. So this is gonna be L10015, and this should have been R, and he actually picked that piece of rock and probably hit it or destroyed it, or maybe he actually hit it inside the case. I can see that. So that, yeah, we're trying to connect the dots here, pretty much, with this first case. Are you sure you know what you're doing here? Of course I know what I'm doing. I played all 4 games. Not really? What the? What kind of ridiculous assertion is that? If you had said the attacker left the message to throw people off, it might have made sense. No? It doesn't make sense. It definitely doesn't make sense, because we can conclude that that she didn't do that, pretty much. I mean, Juniper. At first, like, now she is actually, like, she's like, she doesn't have anything that that's incriminating her, especially with what happened with Apollo. At first glance, that would seem to be the most reasonable explanation. However, Apollo didn't shed enough blood to write such an extensive message. Uh-oh. I see. Even the photo makes it clear there wasn't enough blood to write all those words, or all those letters. And Mr. Justice did survive. I suppose he didn't bleed very extensively in that case. But why would Detective Arm write the defendant's name? There's no connection between the two whatsoever. And I didn't even know the lady who was killed. I admit the investigation didn't turn up any connection between the victim and the defendant. They had never even met each other. Not even today? Not even today? That's very true. Well then, let's see. Then maybe the intended meaning of the message is not what it appears to be. The intended meaning? Not what it appears to be. Everyone is a goddamn parrot now? Maybe the message wasn't intended to be Woods. Coming from you, that's quite the bold statement, Mr. Wright. You wish to assert that this this bloody writing could have some other meaning? Yes, Your Honor. For something I pulled out of a wormhole, and that wormhole is my ass, it could turn out to be true, right?
Objection!
Huh. It clearly says Woods, as anyone can plainly see. What other meaning could it possibly have?
Objection!
But Candace Arm was a detective. Maybe Woods only means something to the police. You have to prove that. Like a police scanner code, for example. I didn't think of that. You have to prove it. That's pretty easy for the prosecution to ask for a proof. Huh. You may have tricked his honor. But you'll never get the best of me. I have a thing for studying on the weekends, as you may have already guessed. Okay. And there's no such radio code as Woods in the state in this state, dear Mr. Wright. Is that a fact? Don't look at me. I know as much as you do about police codes. 5-0? A po-po? Enough of this. I was quite taken with the defense's new theory. But if they can't substantiate it with anything, then I must end things here. No, please wait, Your Honor. Very well, but before we discuss this theory any further, I demand a plausible explanation. So, Mr. Wright, what is the true meaning of the bloody writing? Well, I believe it's... and no stalling! If you can't come up with an answer quickly, I will declare this discussion officially over. I'm in trouble now. What other meaning could it have besides the obvious one? Maybe it means something in another language? Or maybe it's a code in orange? I mean... it's pretty obvious, right? I think you viewers can actually see it. That's the code here. The W is L attached to the 1. And then the double O and the 1, the other one is gonna be a D. And the 5 was an S. And then he removed the rubble that had the R. And that's it. So it's pretty obvious.